Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos. And if you're here for a second, third, or fourth time, thank you so much for coming back and getting creative. Hi guys, another super fun painting for my first time painters and Kokopelli fans. So grab your supplies, grab your favorite colors, turn on your music, and as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now on this one, we're going to start off with the background and then we'll be putting our Kokopelli on top of this. So we're using yellow paint, going to create a horizon line about halfway up your canvas, does not have to be exact. And we are using our primary colors today, and then we'll be adding some raw sienna. So here, just demonstrating a few different brush strokes to try. We're still using that yellow, kind of building our nice warm base. And then we'll be making some orange and some red, and then switching over to blue. You do have full permission to change up the design. If you want more sunset colors or more blue background colors, your full permission to make this your own. So here I pulled some of that yellow aside. A tiny amount of red is going to go a long way to make a shade of orange. And if your shade of orange is lighter or darker or more red than what I have on the screen, totally okay. And as I'm doing this back and forth mark making, I am overlapping that original yellow color a little bit, doing a little bit of blending, going back now and adding a touch more red, and then again going right around the edge, the perimeter of what we were just adding. Keeping light pressure with this is effective and helps. If you feel like using your fingers to do a little bit of blending, go right ahead. And like I said earlier, if you want to change the design and have more of a particular color than I have in the video, go right ahead and do that. I do encourage all my students to trust their instincts as they paint, and that is guiding you in the direction you need to go for your painting. So this was a good spot to pause that video, take a progress photo, clean that brush really good, and we're going to go in with light blue, fill in a good portion of that background. Be very cautious as you are bringing that blue next to the red. For some of you, it may make a shade of purple. For some of you, it may make kind of a not so pretty color. So just be really careful as you're coming over it. Light pressure as you may be overlapping. We will come back in with some red after we fill in our blue. So as you paint with acrylic paint, if there's anything that you paint you don't like, just let it dry and you paint right on top of it again. So that's why I encourage all my students to trust their instincts, because if you don't like something, you just let it dry and paint on it again. So now just making that shade of blue, and if you go a little bit darker as you get towards the top of the canvas, there we go, a little bit of a medium blue or the direct blue. I do like having it light at the horizon line and then darker going towards the top of the canvas. Just makes for a bit more of a dynamic color combo and a dynamic background. We will be putting the Kokopelli on top of all of these areas. And again, if you're on a stretched canvas, carry this color around the edges just so that way it looks nicer when you hang it on the wall, having those colors wrap around the edge. I am using watercolor paper today with the edges taped, and as I travel more, it makes it easier for me to use watercolor paper to do these, as well as I'm not buying tons and tons of supplies. So here you can see I went back to that red, that reddish orange, and just going right on top of it with that light pressure. If you want, you can let that blue paint dry before you do this section, but just kind of play with any new colors that it may make as you are blending the two together. All right, doing a great job. Remember to breathe, relax. This is just for fun. Pause the video, take your progress photo. I just threw some raw sienna, some light brown on my plate. And we're going to be doing a mixture of white and raw sienna to make a light color. And I'm still using that medium flat brush, or you can be using that large flat brush, your call. Still kind of keeping with the same mark making, these longer horizontal brush strokes, But we're going to fill in the remaining space of the canvas with this light color, and then we're going to go in with a little bit more of the darker, the direct raw sienna, and paint right on top of this. Again, anything that you want to do that might be a little different than the video, go right ahead and do that. This is how you get comfortable with your painting process. All right, bringing it right up next to that horizon line. We will be putting some mountains in the distance on the horizon line before we add our Kokopelli. And you do want to make sure all your canvas space is filled in. If you can see the texture of your canvas, maybe apply your paint a little bit thicker to cover that area. Also keep in mind that even if you can see the texture of the canvas up close, as you put your painting on the wall and look at it from across the room of a distance of about 5 to 10 feet away, you do not see some of the details that you see up close. So now grabbing some of that white, just kind of slapping it on there, playing with the blending, the wet on wet, and kind of giving a little bit more of a direction, a lighter shade on our ground. So coming along nicely. We're going to clean that brush really good. Fill in a few other areas. I've missed a spot, so I had to go back with more paint. But I'm going to go back and clean the brush again. And sometimes that's just part of the process of creating. All right, so do let this dry. Pause that video, take your progress photo, fully let your background dry, and then we're going to do a mixture of red and black. I'm going to use that medium flat brush or the pointy brush. You're going to pull some of that red aside. A tiny, tiny, tiny amount of black goes a long way to make this red-black color. So you can see where I like to kind of set it on the side, on the perimeter, and then start adding the red. If you do want to do this with the solid black, you can. It just may conflict with your Kokopelli black outline just a touch. So I'm not doing a full rock formation across the horizon line. I just kind of laid the base bottom line and then the mountainous rocky shapes above that. This one's going to be a little below that horizon line, and this time I started with the rocky formation and then did the line and then filled it in. So whichever one you are finding more comfortable, or try both just to see what you like. All right, clean the brush really good. Your option if you want to let this dry before you move on to the next step. And this will be drawing the Kokopelli. I'm going to draw it as a line using the pointy brush and black paint. And as you do this, play with the pressure of your brush and just kind of get comfortable with it. And there will also be a traceable available for purchase if you would prefer to do it that way. And there'll be a link in the description box below. But if you don't want to use the traceable, just pause this video at each point that you need to. Mimic what you see on the video on your canvas, and then you'll fill it in. And the great thing about Kokopelli is he does come in many shapes and sizes and variety of styles. So whatever you create for your Kokopelli, just kind of embrace it. And Kokopelli is known to be the god of fertility, new life, new beginnings, new projects. And he is a very iconic Southwest design and character that many, many different groups and Native people recognize and embellish their art with. So if you want to do a little bit more research, please feel free to check out and research Kokopelli and check out the different groups that he is important to. So here, getting the legs on there. Again, just pause the video as you need to. We will be filling in the design with black paint, letting it dry, and then doing designs on top of it. But you can do any variation of the Kokopelli that you want. He is kind of iconically known for, I'm assuming this is his hair. I don't remember the exact story for it, but usually it starts off kind of small at the forehead, gets a little bit longer as it goes towards his back. Again, you can do any variation that you want for this, and then any colors that you might want on top of it. All right, so using the bigger brush, going to fill that space in. And like I said, we'll fill that in, let that black paint dry, and then do some designs on top of it. And again, this is where you get to just let your imagination run wild, trust your instincts, do what you want to do. And feel free to reference other Kokopelli designs and add them to this painting to make it your own. All right, so fill that in. Let the paint dry fully because you don't want the new colors to be mixing with the black paint and changing the color. So here using the yellow, and then I'm going to move into, I believe, a light pink or a medium pink. But you can do zigzag marks, dots, little lines. Try not to plan out the whole thing all at once. It can be kind of overwhelming. So just pick one color, like yellow first, put that in a few areas, and then move on to your next color like I'm doing with pink. Maybe do a spiral or dots. And before you know it, if you move color by color, your whole face will, or whole space will be filled in, your whole design will be done, and you didn't have to plan it out from the beginning. If you do 2 or 3 of these and you do kind of start understanding your process, then maybe start planning. But if this is your first time painting, just kind of take it one color at a time. Painting is not about being perfect. Especially not about being perfect from the first painting on, but it's about getting comfortable with the process, comfortable with the tools, and comfortable with just creating. And I do encourage that you find weekly, if not monthly, creative outlets. And what you learn in this painting, you're going to take into your next painting. And then what you learn in that painting, you take into the next painting, and so on and so forth. But it's about growing your skills, not being perfect, because your idea of perfect is going to change the more that you learn and the more that you understand your own creative process or your own way of working. So, progress, not perfection. All right, coming along nicely. Do whatever you guys want to this. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me and paint. And until next time, cheers.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the process of painting and I hope you are happy with how your paintings turned out. I'm really proud of you for getting creative. As you're uploading these to social media, please tag me at or hashtag paintwithlovejoy or email me your pictures paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. I really enjoy seeing them. I try to post them on social media to encourage other beginner painters to try the process of painting. But please share this with your community as well. Anybody who is kind of scared to paint, share your experience with them and let them know kind of how much you benefited from it and how much you enjoyed the process. So kind of share the fun. With that being said, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, things that you want me to paint in the future, please leave a comment. I try to respond to everybody as quickly as I can. And any of the future suggestions for paintings, I add that to my production list and get to them as quickly as I can. So in the meantime, please keep getting creative. Let me know how you're doing. And until next time, cheers.